To trace the origins of when these encounters started, we must look back at the history of Native American tribes that lived in San Antonio, Texas. Before the Spanish discovered San Antonio, Texas, many Native American tribes that lived in this area told many legends about giant creatures that guarded the skies. Some of these tribes called these creatures the Thunderbirds, a 10-foot tall bird with a wingspan that was more than 10 feet. Some of these Native American folklore claim that the Thunderbird could create powerful winds, dangerous storms, and could shoot lightning out of their eyes. After the Spanish colonized San Antonio, many of the Spanish colonists believed that the Thunderbird legends were just myth, since they did not see the creature. However, that would soon change when in 1975, people began reporting seeing the supposed creature. The most well-known first documented account in 1975 was when two police officers encountered the creature in Harlingen, Texas. By the end of 1975, early in the morning, two police officers, known as Arturo Padilla and Homero Galvin, were on patrol in Harlingen, Texas, near the border of Mexico, when all of a sudden, a giant bird almost hit the roof of their patrol car. They immediately stopped and looked out their window. They described the creature to be a huge bird with a wingspan of 10 feet long. They reported the incident to their superiors in hopes of learning the entire police force of what they saw. However, the case was discredited as a misidentification of a large pelican. Some within Harlingen Police Department hoped that this would be the end of the story, but they would soon learn that this was only just the beginning. On January 1st, 1976, two teenage girls named Tracy Lawson and Jackie Davis stated they observed a scary 5-foot-tall bird leering at them in the yard as they played. Their parents discovered some enormous 3-toed tracks the next day that were featured on local news broadcasts. Hysteria soon erupted. On January 7, 1976, a Brownsville man named Alverco Guajardo heard something slam into his trailer home, and when he went out to confront the culprit, he claimed that he stood face to face with a bird, but not a bird like something from another planet. 1 week later, at Raymondville, a resident named Armando Grimaldo experienced the most terrifying encounter to date. When he was sitting outside smoking a cigarette one evening, suddenly he heard some sound of great flapping wings and was attacked from above by a beast that scratched at him, ripping his clothes. He was later transported to Willacy County Hospital in a state of shock. Other notable reports included that of two sisters who spotted Big Bird at a watering hole in Brownsville on the 18th, as well as two soldiers who had a signing on a ranch near Pody the same day. At one point, the fervor was so great that everyone from local radio station owners to oil tycoons were offering a substantial reward for the capture of the avian monster. While this was going on, just over 100 miles away, the city of San Antonio began hearing stories of what was going on in South Texas. Many San Antonio zoologists of that era believed that these stories they were reading were just sensational reports of misidentifications of Texas wildlife birds. One zoologist even claimed that the only way he would take the report seriously would be if the Big Bird would visit San Antonio. Many found his claim to be hilarious, but soon that joke would become a reality the next month. In February of 1976, 3 Southside San Antonio school teachers reported that they were buzzed by 2 giant black birds while driving in separate vehicles. The 3 identified a pair of what looked to be giant birds with bony structures and wingspans stretching from 15 to 20 feet, a look reminiscent to one teacher of a pterodon, an extinct type of flying reptile that lived 160 million years ago. News coverage from the San Antonio Evening News documented the sighting. A reporter reached out to then director of San Antonio Zoo, Luis D. Zapato, to inquire about the claims that a pterodon was flying its wings in the Lone Star State. As he stated, there's nothing in today's Texas that would be that. I know of nothing that looks like that, but I sure would like 2 of them for the zoo, stated the zoo director. San Antonio Southside officials had directed the educational professionals not to discuss the event with the media during school hours for fear of alarming students. One teacher told the reporter that they are not designated to discuss non-school matters over the telephone while on the clock. From February to December of 1976, San Antonio, Texas would experience a massive flap of encounters with the Thunderbird, ranging from seeing the creature fly in the air to some accounts of the creature attacking the citizens. As previously mentioned in the last episode, I had the chance to talk with a couple of veterans that worked in Brooks Air Force Base. One of the veterans told me the story about having an encounter with the Converse werewolf. The other veteran, however, had a different account with a different creature, and that creature was the San Antonio Thunderbird of 1976. From what the veteran had informed me, the encounter took place during the Big Bird Flap of 1976. It happened in May of 1976, just a few months after those teachers reported their encounter to the San Antonio newspaper. The sight happened in the middle of the night while he was in a parking lot. He was walking towards his truck, but stopped in his tracks when he heard the loudest screech in his entire life. He looked up and saw what looked like a giant pterodon coming right at him from the night sky. He immediately jumped into his truck and slammed the door. He claimed the creature buzzed his truck and flew up in the sky. He was shocked at what just happened and saw that the creature was heading towards Brooks Air Force Base. He decided that he was going to follow the creature and did his best to track it. Once he reached Brooks Air Force Base, he claimed that the guards at the gate were awestruck but also terrified at what they were seeing. He immediately asked them, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing?" To which the guards replied, "A giant bird flying around the base." Both the guards and him watched the creature fly around the base for a couple of minutes before it disappeared into the horizon. I asked him if he reported the incident, to which the witness replied, "No. I was afraid that if I reported what I saw that night, I could not only lose my job, but also be considered a Looney Tune and be sent to the mental hospital." I soon asked him if the guards reported their sightings to their superiors, to which the witness responded no. He claimed that both the guards and him will keep the event a secret for fear of losing their jobs, and also many with whom worked in Brooks Air Force Base believed the sightings to be misidentification of Texas wildlife birds. They were also concerned of just saying that they were not doing their job and could possibly be demoted as well. The final nail in the coffin for now reporting this event to their superiors was that the citizens of San Antonio were paranoid at what was happening. The witness claimed that many people in the south side of San Antonio did not allow their kids to play alone outside for fear the giant birds would attack them and carry their children off into the sky. Some adults would sit outside their house with shotguns in hopes of protecting their neighborhood from these giant birds. Even groups of bird watchers were searching high and low to find these giant birds. The last thing the Air Force witnesses wanted was for citizens of San Antonio to learn that a giant bird was able to penetrate a restricted airspace and the Air Force could not do anything about it. Nearly 45 years later, in the year 2020, the witness decided that his story should be known to the public since he is now retired and would not be negatively affected by revealing his story. By 1977, the last known reports of the Thunderbird sightings were in Lake Shelbyville, Illinois. Chief A.J. Hufer, who back in his young days during the 1970s worked with local news stations that was trying to capture, photograph evidence of these Thunderbirds that were being reported in Illinois. Using his knowledge of the lands, he went into his canoe to see if he could find these creatures at some of the sighting locations in Lake Shelbyville. One day, he was able to finally see the creature and immediately began filming what he saw.
Month of July 1977, many reports of giant living thunderbirds were pouring into newspaper offices and TV stations across central Illinois. I, Chief A.J. of the Central Tribal Native American Council, was called upon by CBS television to try to film a living thunderbird. I had been trained by the United States Marine Corps to be a combat photographer. CBS had called on me many times in the past to film major fires. I had produced good films for CBS, delivering to them network quality results. I studied a map of central Illinois where the Thunderbird sightings had been happening and decided to cruise by canoe the remote shoreline of Lake Shelbyville. I had my 16mm news camera loaded with 100 feet of professional Ektachrome film. You are now seeing the original footage of living flying thunderbirds straight out of Native American legends. This footage has been studied by several universities since July 1977, and the following television show is one of the interesting results. Let it fly.
By 1979, San Antonio saw no more of the Thunderbirds, leaving many witnesses to wonder what they had witnessed. While San Antonio's academic community concluded that the Thunderbird sightings were just misidentification of Texas wildlife birds, many of the witnesses disagree with that conclusion. Although it's been 45 years since the Big Bird Flap of 1976, some San Antonians are still reporting sightings of giant birds in San Antonio's sky to this very day. One of San Antonio's best cryptozoologists in the field for researching winged cryptids is cryptozoologist Ken Gerhard. Ken Gerhard has been researching the Big Bird Flap of 1976 for the past couple of decades. From reading some of his books and watching some of his interviews, Mr. Gerhard has concluded that many of the witnesses that saw this creature did not misidentify Texas wildlife birds, but probably either saw a surviving pterodon or a completely new bird species that scientists have yet to uncover. All in all, the Big Bird Flap of 1976 is truly indeed a hidden history of San Antonio, Texas. In today's general public of San Antonio, many citizens are unaware of this event. One can only hope that the mystery behind this event will one day be solved, but until then, this event will stay a mystery for quite some time.